Welcome to today's Business Spotlight interview. Today we're joined by Mike Walls from MW Fulfilment. Good afternoon, Mike.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for joining us, for taking the time out to share your story with us. As per usual, these are designed for two reasons. One, to help promote your business to a wider audience, and also to help all of our audience who are mainly business owners who are embarking on their journey or are partway through their journey as business owners, to give them some hints and tips on the best way forward as well. So I wondered if we could start, Mike, by maybe you taking us through your sort of business journey since you started your own business to where you are now, and what exactly does MW Fulfilment do?
So I formed and founded MW Fulfilment Services 5 years ago now, and it came about. I'd set up an e-commerce fulfilment centre for a German lighting company, and we traded for about 18 months or so. And then they decided that we'd become an wholesaler, and they already had 13 in the UK, so they decided they were closing it down. I purchased all the assets from them, took the lease over on the building, and formed MW Fulfilment Services. As with any new startup, it's a tough journey to start with. It takes a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, as they say, to keep it going and to make sure that it's successful. And, you know, touch wood, up to now, we've been profitable from month one, from opening month one through to now. The journey, it has been a massive journey. We started with an 18,000 square foot warehouse in Bolton. After just over 1 year, we opened our second one in Haywood, 23,500 square foot. And then after a further 12 months, we opened the third one in Haywood. We subsequently closed the Bolton one down because the lease was up. So we've now got 43,500 square foot of warehousing space on Broadfield Business Park in Haywood. I always refer to us as being a mini Amazon. So we do the same what Amazon does. We pick, pack and dispatch orders on behalf of 53 different customers. We've never, up until, at this moment in time, we've never advertised the business. So everything that we've done is by recommendation or word of mouth. So it is a good service that we give it. It is what I would class as a family-run business. So my brother works for me, my sister-in-law works for me, and a lot of the management team and staff have come from other businesses that our paths have crossed over the years, and now we've all come back together under one roof. It is difficult. It is very difficult, and you know, for I think 2 years, I didn't have a day off at all. So that's 364 days a year, sometimes 12, 14-hour days, but we made it work. To the point where over the last 6 months, I've had 2 offers for the business to sell it, 2 decent offers. The last one was tempting, but the staff that work for me were committed to the staff, or I'm committed to the staff. You know, some of them's given up good full-time roles in other businesses to come and work for me, so it wouldn't have been an ethical thing for me to do to then sell the business on. Plus the fact I would have had to remain here for 2 years running a business for somebody else. I don't think at this point in time now I could do that. My background has always been in distribution and logistics. I left school when I was 15. Took what I was classing then as a summer job because I had a college placement at Lee College to train out to be a chef. So I went to work in a warehouse at 15, and from then, that's all I've done. Warehousing, distribution for some of the largest blue chip companies in Europe, as in I worked at Heinz in Wigan. I ran their warehouse for 6 years, which at that time was the biggest in Europe. Wincanton, Norbert Dentures Angle, P&O. We've done it all. I've been a troubleshooter for Wincanton, been all over the country, dealing with warehouses that's been in trouble, that weren't performing. And it's something that I enjoy. I'm really passionate about it. And, you know, you've got to be, otherwise you're never going to succeed. It is, as they say, it runs through your veins. You cut me open, it's MW Fulfilment Services now.
Yeah. So what, had you run a business before you went into business with MW Fulfilment?
No. So this is what I said. For me, it's been a massive learning curve, massive learning curve. You know, and when I look back now, 5 years ago at starting out on this, it was a gamble. You know, I had another full-time position when they closed the warehouse to go to if I wanted to. I took the leap of faith and actually set up MW Fulfilment Services. and see what happened. I'm really glad I did. You've got to be really confident in your own ability, and it's the dedication. I mean, starting any business is hard, and I've worked. When I started the business, I put it out there that I was prepared to help and support all the small, I call them kitchen sellers, where they sell things from home, and then they get to a point where they can't do it anymore, and they need to put it in a fulfillment center. So at the beginning, that was our strapline. That's what we did. We supported small e-commerce businesses. Because I know how difficult it is. You know, if there's nobody out there to help you, it is difficult, and you're on your own. It's a lonely place to be sometimes.
Yeah.
But you've just got to work hard and believe in yourself, and that's what it's all about. Self-belief. You've got to be confident that you're doing the right thing. I've made some decisions and they've been bad decisions, and I've made some decisions that have been fantastic decisions. But you don't know. We have a saying here that every day is a school day.
Yeah.
And we learn something new every single day.
And
I don't profess to know it all.
No. How many people do you have working for you now?
We've got 20 full-time staff here now.
Wow.
So we've got 2 units side by side.
Yeah.
So we've got 20 full-time staff that we move between the 2 sites. And yeah, it's good. It's good. We're in Rochdale, and to be honest with you, Rochdale Council are really, really supportive of what you're doing. They'll help you in any way they can. If there's a grant out there and it's applicable to you, they'll make sure that they get it, and they'll support you in anything that you do.
And what would you say, when you said every day is a school day, what would you say has been your single biggest learning since becoming a business owner then?
Probably understanding the financial aspect of what you're doing, to get into, because there's nothing down in stone that helps you at the beginning to say this is what you should be doing and that's what you should be charging. So probably the accounts and the financial, and I think we've just got to a point now. I've just recruited in the last 3 weeks. I've just recruited 2 accounts assistants, because that's still 5 years down the line the area that gives us the most pain. The second area that gives us the most pain is the warehouse management system, because again, there's not an off-the-shelf system that you can say, this is a system that we're going to use. This is what it's going to do for us. So we're on our third system now, and we spend all our time developing other people's warehouse management systems to make them a better system.
Was there any changes that you were considering that COVID made a necessity?
COVID it escalated the growth of the business in a big way, because everybody was sat at home, and because they couldn't go to the shops, everybody started buying online. So we went from, I think it was 4 or 5 staff in Bolton, when the warehouse was full, to us opening a second warehouse, employing another 10 staff, and we just couldn't keep up with the demand. And then people started looking to put, their products into an e-commerce fulfillment center because they couldn't cope, and they couldn't go to the post office the same, etc. So it just escalated the growth for us.
So COVID was good for you then?
COVID for us was very good, and it hasn't changed. It hasn't changed. I thought once COVID was open and the shops were back open and people could, go back out and carry on the daily life, things would change, and they haven't really. They haven't. It's still the same.
Yeah. So just briefly explain the sort of type of customers that you deal with, and the sort of size and shape and sectors, whatever.
We deal with anybody. The only thing that we don't do is hazardous goods. We have no hazardous goods in the warehouse, even though we've got the certificate to warehouse and distribute as hazardous goods. We just don't do them. I stay away from them. But anything else, from a pen to an electric cycle to anything, we just pick and pack anything. Clothing's one of the main ones that we do. Right.
And you're still dealing with those smaller businesses, the sort of the home worker businesses, and
yeah, it's good to watch them grow, because I always said to them at the beginning that their growth is my growth. So some of them will come and they're only doing like 10 parcels a day, and then you watch that business grow and develop over the years, and some of them's been with me like 3, 4, 5 years now, and they're up doing like 100 parcels a day, and you think, and then they come back to you and thanks for supporting us, and we haven't lost customers since we started. We've moved one or two on last year because they wasn't probably profitable enough for what we were doing, and they didn't want to pay any more. And there was quite large customers, but you've got to look at it from a business perspective, and what's good for the business.
Yeah. You've obviously grown quite rapidly in terms of revenue and in terms of the number of staff you've got. What are your thoughts on the excuse me, on the current employment sort of situation in the Northwest in terms of recruiting staff?
Shocking. It's really, really difficult. Really difficult. I mean, I advertised last week just for a part-time cleaner, because I want to take my own. I've got a cleaning company now, and I want to take my own part-time cleaner, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. In 24 hours, I got 100 applicants. I paused the advertisement. I arranged interviews last week over 2 days of maybe 14 applicants. Out of the 14 applicants, 2 arrived for an interview.
Well, that's interesting.
All the Eastern European people that were readily available all went back home again. So the workforce now is not there. For me to get a picker and packer, just a picker and packer that were 10 a penny 3 years ago, you can't do it now. It is tough. It is tough.
What do you see the solution for that being, Mike?
To be honest with you now, I don't know, because people just don't want to do it. Some of the jobs now that you've got out there. I mean, we at the time when I moved over, we were one of the top payers in this area, and the salary, all my staff are salaried. They're not hourly paid. And my belief was that if you pay people a good wage, a fair wage, and you give them good working conditions, you'll keep your staff. And we do have a good staff retention. But then trying to take on more staff of a good quality, and I've done recruitment through Rochdale Development Agency, and they've advertised, and I've recruited through them, local agencies. But the quality now is just not there anymore. It's just disappeared, and I don't know if we're going to get that back. I really don't. It doesn't matter what you pay, how much you pay, the quality's not there. And the salary now, there's been increases upon increases now, and I'm paying more, probably £5,000 a year more now for a forklift driver than I was 3 years ago. But the thing is, you can't pass these increases on to the customers, because the margin just isn't there in most of the products.
Yeah, we've seen a squeeze across the whole industry in terms of being more difficult to recruit people, employment costs going up, and some of those are being passed on, but not on every occasion.
You can't. I mean, we turned over last year. We turned over £1 million more in revenue, and our profits went down. Just because everything that a cardboard box that used to cost us, I don't know, £1.80 is now £3.60.
Yeah.
And the customers, when you start telling customers, they just can't do it.
Yeah.
And the electricity bills have gone, from £1,200 a month per building. You're talking 2.5, nearly 3,000 on each building.
Yeah.
But it's tough.
A real challenge. Mike, you explained earlier on that you've been working in the distribution and warehousing sector for many years, so you've had many years of training on how to run successful warehouse and warehousing teams. How much training have you had on how to be a business owner?
None.
Really interesting.
That's me being totally honest. None. So everything that I do here now is all self-taught. So I've surrounded myself with some good people.
Yeah.
That from different businesses that I've been in previously, and they are loyal and they work hard. But actual training, actually how to be a business owner, then no. And
have you used any resources, books, videos, that kind of stuff in terms of specific challenges around business that you've looked at?
No. To be honest, no. It's just I know. Obviously, I've not just been like a warehouse manager. I've actually run businesses for people. So even though it wasn't my business, I've run another business for people that just don't live in this country.
Yeah.
So I knew what we needed to be doing and how to make a business profitable. But actual formal training or books or videos, no.
I think it's one of the biggest challenges. A lot of people go into business. They've had years of training to get really good at what they're good at. And then, unlike you, who's had some experience in terms of running a business, they've never had any experience of how to be a business owner. And that's where a lot of the challenges sort of appear from. Who's the first person that comes to mind for you when you think about success from a business perspective? Who comes to mind for you?
Well, one of the guys that I used to run he had a lighting business, and he was one of the first, it was the biggest online retailer of LED lighting when it first came out. And I ran his warehouse for him. So I moved it from Southampton to Middleton, and I set it up for him in Middleton. And I ran that. He was a Jersey-based guy. And that was his third business. And the two that he'd set up prior to that, he'd sold for just under £40 million. Okay. Wow. The guy was 34-year-old, and and then he sold the one that I'd set up for him and run successfully. He sold that for £30 million after 2.5 years. And I don't know, it was sort of, he was my inspiration that if he could do it, then I could do it. And then I've got a couple of people that my old operations manager at Wincanton, he set up a warehousing business in Colchester called 3PL Logistics. And Ian, really close, when I first started it off, he came in, had a look at what I've got, and he wanted to, well, he offered me a job at his distribution centre, be his head of logistics and shares in his company if I'd go and work for him, but I didn't. I said, if I can't do it for myself, I don't want to do it anymore for anyone else. So people like that that's done it and made it, and it's an inspiration. Then you've got to do it, and you've got to make it, and you've got to set yourself. There's got to be goals and milestones along the way. So you've got to set yourself a target. When you hit the first million, that's great, and then the second one, and then there's a target, and that's what I do. There's got to be something to get me out of bed.
Yeah,
there's got to be a target. There's got to be something there for me to aim at.
Completely agree with you there. Somebody said to me, if you don't know where you're going, how are you ever going to get there? So it's really important to have some goals. Speaking of that, what are your aspirations for the business over the next 5 years? You already said you'd had a couple of offers for it. What's in store for you and the business over the next few years?
I always maintain. So I didn't sell it last year, and people say I should have done, and it was a good offer, and you could have retired, and I didn't have to do anything. I can't retire. I'm never going to be able to retire. I'll always have to do something. So for the next 5 years, this will be our year where we actually see the business flourish. So at the end of this year, we'll be like, I want to sit back and think, right, we've done it. So we've now just started marketing the business, and then I'm going to churn a percentage of the customers that we currently have and bring in probably larger customers, more corporate customers than what we've currently got to drive the business forward. And I want to double the turnover, the revenue in the next 5 years.
Wow. Good man. And just finally then, because we're just about, I don't know where the time goes when I'm doing these interviews, 15 minutes flies by. Do you have any advice for your 18-year-old self if you could talk to your younger self?
I know it's not probably good advice, but I got where I am today through just hard work and dedication. And, I see some of the younger ones today, my son included, they don't have the same mentality as what I look at my generation many, many years ago. And that's all they need, the willingness, the motivation, hard work and dedication. You can have as many qualifications as you like, but actually doing the job learns you how to do the job. And you've just got to live and breathe it. So just work hard and just dedicate yourself to what you do. Choose your career path. That's what I want to do. And people, my son included, said, warehousing is not a career. And I pointed out to him that, I've had roles in the past what's earned me £80,000 a year, which is more than surgeons, which is more than doctors, which is more than most people earn. So it's how much you want it.
I think that's a good place to finish on, Mike. If people want to find out more about MW Fulfilment, what's the best thing for them to do?
Yeah, there's a website out there. You can see MW Fulfilment, and there's live chat on there. And believe it or not, even to this day, the live chat comes through to my mobile phone. So if you go on there, you'll be talking to me. So, yeah.
Okay, we'll make sure that the website address and your LinkedIn profile go into the notes for the interview. Mike, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. Really appreciate it. It's a really fascinating story. Look forward to speaking to you again.
No problem. Thanks very much for your time.